We have a New Age news report, a briefing for you, if you will, to discuss some of the things that are top of mind. Tiffany, let's start with you here. How does a new administration affect the state of the technology industry right now and moving forward? What do things look like?
Well, with every election, it's kind of like being dealt a whole new hand. And as folks in the industry, we need to know how to play that hand. And so we have a Democratic president, President Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris, and we have a Democratic caucus, Congress, because of important Senate races early January that took control from Republicans to Democrats. And so President Biden could have asked probably for the best playbook. He has a Democratic Congress. And so when it comes to pushing his agenda, although the margins are very slim in the House and the Senate, he still has a Democratic Congress to work with. And so it's really about kind of what their priorities are. And I think, President Biden was very clear when he campaigned, it's all about building back better. And he's focused right now on kind of the crisis at hand, COVID-19. And so while we await for kind of a technology agenda, we are closely looking at, some of his nominees as he fills his cabinet. And then from there, we'll be able to get a better sense of kind of what his tech agenda will be. But for now, we understand how much technology is playing such a prominent and positive role, fighting the pandemic, allowing for remote work, digital health, and remote education. So we know it's going to be an integral role for us for our recovery as we revive the U.S. economy, and we look forward to playing a positive role.
But what's kind of the vibe in Washington? I mean, what
well, it's definitely a lot calmer. President Biden, the good thing is that, he knows a lot of folks that are in the administration with him. They've been there before. They've served under President Obama. So, he knows where the bathrooms are and where the lights are. So we're not starting from scratch. And you have some seasoned individuals. And so I think things will be a lot more process oriented. We won't necessarily be consulting social media to get our next steps of what's going on with trade policy. So that's something we're looking forward to. And particularly when you think about things like tariffs, we've been upset and concerned about hitting our industry the hardest, compounded with COVID-19. And so, as he fills his cabinet and his USTR, we look forward to having measured conversations of how do we develop a trade policy that opens more markets for U.S. businesses, but also something that's important and something that we'll hear from the Biden administration is how does it help American workers and the American workforce?
So Fred, what does this boil down to in terms of retailers? What do they need to know?
Yeah, great question. I think most retailers are saying, what's next, right? And I think, the thing that is most commonly on the plate now is that trying to decide, what is and when is going to be the new opening again, right? We've all looked at some opportunities that started to exist during the tail end of the year, and it seemed like things were getting better. And then we got close to holiday time period in November and December where families and groups were gathering more so, and we saw a spike again, right? And ever since that, during that same time, all the retailers were trying to fight to get their business for holiday and provide the goods that many consumers were needing or demanding because they were limited in their shopping selections. They couldn't go into stores like normal and enjoy the genre of the store of the holiday. They had to look in and look for availability online. There was new technology being released. When we looked at all the gaming consoles, both from Microsoft and from Sony, created incredible demand. And even with that, because so many people were stuck at home with children and families looking for things to do, the demand was incredible for that. So I think part of it was now we're really trying to look and say, what do we do to guide them as to what's next? We didn't hit all the needs that most retailers were asking for, both in PC type products, home connected products, entertainment products. I think more people looked at the TV or looked at their computers more than ever, just trying to kind of pull in all this information as to what to do. So when we looked at this year going into trying to plan for 2021, we had to say, so what's the landscape? Well, the first thing that we saw is that we couldn't meet the pent-up demand, and it's still continuing. As we went through the time period of the new spike, everybody got locked down again, even tighter for the next wave. So again, they went immediately to the devices like their PCs, their phones, their tablets. They ran out of things to watch on TV, so they started streaming. And they were deciding, if I didn't have a smart TV, I better get one. And how do I get it delivered so I can get it up on my wall as quickly as possible? And what can we do to entertain the rest of the family, or how do we keep the children from a learn from home environment to an entertainment environment when they're done school, because they're going to want to do something. And all the parks were closed. All the places that you could take children outside to do things had limitations. So a lot of our world became highly exposed. It educated people from all age genres. So you had from the elderly all the way down to the most bleeding edge customer looking for something or tell me about something so I can get it and find something to do. It was a year of consumption of information. We were all trying to find out what was going on in the world. And remember, we had some big things that happened.
The term, early adopter, I think almost has to be thrown out, because I think everybody is an adopter now. Like, it's what's happening and I need to adapt quickly to it. So I'm sure retailers feel like we have a lot more opportunity because people are willing to embrace technology much quicker and without hesitation.
It's very apropos to have Tiffany on right now, because even our current president is right now looking at how do we get more IC chips? How do we get more technology here in the country so that we can get things rolling? Because everybody's looking for these products. And because we're advancing so quickly in our consumption of new technology, all the way down to automotive and other things, that a lot of the cars, people always say, when I get in these new cars, they have screens that look like big computers. And guess what? They are. And, during this pandemic, I moved to an electric car, right? And it's like a whole different genre of what you're wanting to do. So I think, the opportunities are vast. As you said, the early adopters no longer, it's the current adopter.
Yes.
What am I saying to be current? What do I have to do to stay relative and understand and I don't miss something? When we were talking before, Tiffany and I had a conversation before this call, and we talked and said, think about today's visit to go get your flu shot. You don't call a doctor to do that. You got to go online and schedule it, and you got to find out and get a Google map or a Waze device to tell you how to get to that location and what is traffic. Am I going to make it on time? And all the things. And then once I'm there in a queue of 1,000 people waiting to get their vaccine, what am I doing in the car the whole time I'm in there? How do I entertain myself, right? So think about today's consumption of this. And we were talking, can you imagine if this happened? And Tiffany brought up a really interesting point. She said, back in 1980, could you imagine if this happened? What would we do? We weren't able to work from home. We read our news. Either we listened to Walter Cronkite read the news to us, or we would look at the newspaper and open it up and see what happened, from the day before, in essence. So it would be quite different.
Technology is no longer a nice to have. I mean, it's an imperative, particularly access to the internet. We were talking before, Fred, and we said, like, if this was 1980, most individuals would not be able to work remotely. You would have no formal schooling for children. You wouldn't be able to make sure that you made health checkups. There are so many things that we are very grateful that technology has played such a positive role in helping us not just survive this pandemic, but maybe entertain ourselves and in the meantime as well.
Says that when we look at 2021, what do we see as product? I still think that we see still a very high demand for computers, technologies that are going to bring information. There'll be the enablers for many of the entertainment that we'll look at. Our devices will stream through these devices or through a smart TV. As you saw, the jump in even cell phones, people were updating and getting better cell phones to look at content. Wi-Fi is no longer just Wi-Fi. You want to have Wi-Fi with a mesh network. You want to look at a way to get the best optimal signal to whatever and how you're using it. And then with the onslaught of 5G, just starting to really break forward, I think that's going to be another big thing because they want to take it wherever they're going. So, but I think it's a world too of multitasking, because while you're sitting there thinking about that, you're also saying, how am I going to get groceries delivered? What do I have to do for my appointment for tomorrow? How can I order tonight's meal when I get back home from this? How am I going to get my food delivered? And what time do I need it delivered by? So all those things, what time is the drugstore open, or can they deliver that? Can I pick up my new device I want to buy in the parking lot and just pull up, let them know I'm in spot number 2 and pop my trunk? So it is a paradigm shift of shopping.
And I would just add, there are two things that are essential for those technologies. One is access to spectrum, both licensed and unlicensed. You can only really get it from the federal government. So we need more access to spectrum, and that's something that we'll be advocating for. None of our devices would work without it. And secondly, we need the broadband infrastructure. We need, particularly for 5G. And so I know we're going to hear from President Biden soon on a big infrastructure package. And one of the things we'll be advocating for is to make sure that broadband is essential. If you're going to be building roads, make sure you're putting down fiber, because we need that connectivity to make sure that, no longer do we have a communal laptop in the house. Everyone has their own set of devices. I've got cameras, laptops, iPads. All these are essential now, and we need spectrum and a broadband infrastructure to make sure that all of those dots are connected.
There is a heightened focus on diversity and inclusion, and I would love to just get your thoughts on that, if you can share a little bit about what that means for the industry.
Well, I am so proud to work with the tech industry. It's something when I often say that, everyone's trying, but the great thing about the tech industry is that we may not get the question always right, but we'll show our work. And to see the commitment of our companies that are focused on diversity and inclusion within their own organizations, but also as a part of their communities, has been rewarding. And I think all of us, the pandemic forced us all to stop. And when we saw the killing of George Floyd, I think it was a reminder, and it underscored the importance of what our own personal commitments were and what our commitments were of our organizations. And we just had our all digital CES 2021. And from the keynote stage, you heard it from almost every one of the CEOs, their commitment to making sure that their workforce reflects the talent that the nation offers. And I can say for CTA, at CES 2019, we launched a $10 million fund to invest in venture funds that invest in women and diverse entrepreneurs. That's something that we had done, prior to George Floyd, but after, it just underscored that, in the places in which we can make a difference with our employees, with our customers, and our communities, what can we do? And so I think that was a moment in time. And I was talking with the Walmart CEO, Doug Millen, and he said, it was a moment. And so that was kind of the inflection point to kind of understand what you were doing and reinforce those commitments. We have a younger workforce that has different expectations on the responsibilities of the organizations they work for. You've also seen a shift in which there are so many people who are looking to CEOs for leadership instead of government. And so these CEOs have taken a large responsibility of what are they doing to, again, it's not just about kind of stakeholders and shareholders, it's about that broader community, your consumers, but also your employees. And as we have a younger workforce that's much more engaged and passionate about these issues, I think you see it reflected in kind of the corporate stances that a lot of our companies are taking. Exactly, and it's all about value. Like, there's so many companies that I support, and when I see what they're doing in the marketplace, I'm proud to say, I purchased that product. I own stock in that company. I'm proud of what they're doing.
Just to bring everything full circle, and Fred, you touched on this earlier, what can we expect to see in 2021 for the consumer, for retailers? And if you feel brave enough, give us your 5-year outlook, because I can tell you, if someone told me a year ago I'd be working in my pajamas, I wouldn't have to get on the parkway, and my mother would get on a Zoom call, I would never have believed it. So whatever you want to throw out there, we'd love to hear.
I'll jump in and say,
Okay.
One of the things that we will have is we'll have learning from the pandemic that will stay with us throughout, particularly if you think of digital health and telehealth. Those were things that were kind of abstract, and finally government policy will catch up to it. but now it's an imperative. And so I think you'll see a shift in policy to make sure that there's greater access to telehealth and digital health services. That will stay with us. The idea that you can work from anywhere, a lot of companies are going to embrace that. And that's going to actually create a great opportunity to access talent that's not necessarily domiciled where the company is. And so I think that opens up a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurs and workers who are across the country, just not on the coast, but overall within the interior of the country, which I think will be valuable.
So you could end up relocating to like an island or something and do your job.
Well, with the weather we're having right now, that sounds great.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't want to hear in the forecast from either of you is that there's snow. So Fred, what about you? What are you thinking for 2021 and even beyond?
Yeah, well, I think as Tiffany said, there's a lot of change going on, right? And I think that, every CEO is now looking at their company and saying, what do I really need for my workforce? Are they road warriors? Do they go back and forth? Do they work from home so many hours a day or so many days of the week? And then what tools do they need in order to be able to do their job? And then every retailer will say, do I have those tools, right? In order to supplement and help these new users. And I think most people have realized they need an extra monitor. They need better ergonomics when they're sitting and working at home, a better chair, a better stand-up desk. Definitely. Many of the things that are going to be, their everyday tools. Some people say that I don't like the lighting in my room, that I want to have better lighting so that when I'm on video, I look better. They're going to want to have earpieces, buds,
whatever that is.
And I think that, the whole side of that is going to bring a lot of opportunity. And especially when we look at, the first thing is that a lot of companies are going to have to re-examine even their infrastructure in their buildings so that retailer can start to say, well, we carry mesh networks. We have ways in your home to be able to extend your signal, get you a better signal. While we're all on video calls, there's going to be many smart home devices that are going to be needed to cater to the rest of your world that touches your home or touches your environment. Whether your doorbell rings and you're on a call, you can look and see, okay, that's a package I was expecting. I don't need to go answer that door call, right? You can let someone in. I have somebody that's going to come in and take care of letting my dog or walking my dog or taking care of my house while I'm doing business work like we're conducting right now. And I can let them in the door remotely. I can see at nighttime what's going on the perimeter of my property. So all those type of devices will be important. But the other side, I think the consumers are thinking more too of the fact that I need some of these things at home. I need a touch-free thermometer. I need a way to check my oxygen levels. My doctor talks about I should get more steps. Should I be buying a device that I put on my wrist, a wearable that enables me to monitor my health? The insurance companies are looking at that. They're now all saying, if we provide these tools to our membership, will we get better wellness and what can we be more preventative? And I think a lot of stuff too, and Tiffany touched on it, was the telehealth. I mean, do I have the best tools that I can actually talk to my doctor instead of going to my doctor? Maybe some patients that are more ill might need to go on a more frequent basis. What can I do at home? Can I put on a set of AR glasses and learn how to do my physical therapy at home instead of going in and having somebody manipulate me? Can I walk through it with my doctor? All these things are going to be the way. So no longer do you just think about gaming anymore. You think about how can I use these devices in a different fashion? And all the companies are thinking that way, even down to, automotive, whatever. When you're trying to buy a new car, you could have a car basically touchless. You do your documentation online. Your car's delivered to your driveway. There's a set of AR glasses in there that you put on. It walks you through the interior of your car and tells you all the features and how to use them. This is where this technology is going. So when you say what's happening in the next year or two, this is all reality. Seamless integration of content, the ability to go from 5G to Wi-Fi 6 in a house, and you'll get the same level of signal. They're even coming out, some of the software companies and some of the hardware companies, with masks that have purification in them and things like that. So you will see in the next 3 to 5 years stuff that we kind of dreamt about. You look back, and one of the people years ago in technology said to me, if you want to see what's coming out new, watch Star Trek. And when you say all these things of moving and beaming and all the other things of, communication, talking, gesturing, all those things are, a lot of it is reality today. And where will it go next? Electronic self-driving cars, it's reality, it's there today. So all that will incorporate other devices that interconnect.
So let me ask you this, and this is going to be the toughest thing. Tell me in one word, what is 2021 going to be?
Better.
Tiffany, thank you. I love it. Fred, I'm waiting for you now.
Change.
Okay. I know that was hard for you to do. I made you say one word. So we're going to wrap up for today. I want to thank you both. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Tiffany, for your time and your thoughts and your expertise. And again, I'm Jamie Sorcher with Twice. We appreciate you watching and joining us. And be sure that you check back for the next New Age report. We look forward to seeing you then.